Aloha, Steve Tobis here, and this video is going to be about wings, and more specifically, this new generation of wings that are being developed. This one I'm going to specifically focus on the Ensis Score LTD. This is a brand new wing from Ensis. My local Ensis rep reached out to me. He said, hey, I have this really cool new wing. I want you to give it a try and do a video on it. So let's check it out. So right out the gate, the very first thing that I noticed was this Alula material that's kind of been the hot thing in the last year or so with wing manufacturers. A lot of companies are trying new materials really to bring down the weight, to keep the performance there, and just make a lighter, better, faster, stronger product. And you kind of feel that with the new Ensis Score. It's very light compared to a lot of other wings that I've felt. And especially if you think back, just 2 years ago, how heavy and kind of overbuilt a lot of these wings felt, at least in my opinion. Now this wing, it feels strong, but it also feels light. And I think some of that is leveraging these new materials, putting that Alula in the leading edge. We're just getting more performance out of each little component in the wing. Additionally, the way that you interact with the wing and your control points with the hard handles, they have a nice oval shape to them, so that feels really good in the hands. And the texture on them is this real nice foam feeling where they're hard, but there's a good static friction to it where it's not slipping in your hands, but it's not overly abrasive where it's wanting to tear your hands up. It has just the right amount of grip to where you can easily hold on to it, but you have a ton of control over the wing, but you don't feel like your hands are just getting shredded by hanging on to this really abrasive material. So that's nice. Same thing with the leading edge. The handle in the front, there's a nice neoprene backer so your knuckles aren't getting scraped against the leading edge and the stitching. So just kind of a lot of the details and intricate touch points on this wing I thought were really well done. The inflation system, it's a one pump inflation. It uses the LF Max inflation system. So it's this larger diameter connector. So you do have to have an adapter to pump it up. Now, maybe this is me being a little stuck in my ways, but I personally still prefer the old style valve that was on kites for forever, where your pump hose just hooked straight into it, had that little quarter turn piece like this guy, where you didn't need an adapter. I got in the habit of it. It's something that I've done for 15 years, never having to worry about a pump adapter. And now a lot of these new designs, they're either going with that twist lock connection or this larger diameter one. So really, it's just something to note that if you never used an adapter and you upgrade to this new generation of wings, probably need to get used to carrying one in your car. The nice thing about this is it has this really wide diameter. So when you're pumping it up, you don't really feel the back pressure. So to hit the recommended pressures at, around 8 PSI, you really don't feel it in the pump, and the wing inflates really quick, which is nice. I feel like it probably is 20% quicker with this inflation system. The profile and everything, the canopy has 3 windows on each side of it. And I actually found these windows were useful. It's not something I find a lot with wings. Historically, with wings that have had windows, I personally have been kind of like, I don't like them because they add weight. They don't really provide great visibility through the wing. They're just kind of there. What I was surprised at with these was they were actually positioned to where I was able to see through the wing, and I could see if someone was, passing me downwind, or if there was a rider that was kind of in my blind spot on the other side of the wing. So it was nice to have that little extra visibility. I didn't feel like I was always having to fly the wing above my head and kind of look around it, tacking back and forth. So that was a cool thing to find functional windows. How they'll last over time, I don't know. But as far as just right out the bag, they're actually nice and functional. So that was really good. Something for me that I personally just really look for in a lot of products is the attention to detail. How are the little things looked at? How are they approached? What I was really impressed on is just kind of how Ensis seemed to produce a product that does have a ton of attention to detail. Everything from the stitching in the seams to how the handles are connected, and even into the bag, which a lot of times can be an afterthought. The bag is this really nice dry bag roll top style. And if you roll that all the way out, it looks long enough where you could leave your center strut inflated, roll your wingtips in, stuff it in there, and have a half inflated wing. So if you're somewhere where you want to have a few sizes kind of ready to go, being able to store them in a bag with a strut inflated is really cool. Kind of a lot of the old kite manufacturers used to do that. There's a nice little toolkit included with it. There is the pump adapter that comes with it. And then there's plenty of room in it. So when you're stuffing everything in, you can have your pump strapped on the side. You can throw a wetsuit in there or a towel or something. So there's just a lot of room in it. Overall, it's just really nice to see a lot of these small, minute things that are kind of just quality of life things. They don't have a lot of impact on the actual performance of the product, but they just make everything around it feel really nice. How this wing rides, personally, I found this wing to be just a really good all-around performer. The biggest thing I noticed was how light it is and how stable the wing is. When you just pick it up, it feels like it's just lighter than most wings, and it has all the features that you think would make it heavy. It has windows, it has hard molded handles. These additional features typically increase the weight in the wing. With the Ensis Score, it doesn't feel overly heavy or overbuilt, which is really nice. It does feel like it pulls a little bit front hand heavy, so if you're used to that, you're gonna fit right in. If it's something where you're used to having a little more balance between the hands, then it can take a little getting used to. My first session, I felt like I had a ton of pull in my front hand, and then after I rode it for a little bit and spent a couple days kind of feeling out where I wanted to hold the wing and balance it, then I started to get a little more balanced pull out of it. As far as jumping and freestyling, it does the job. I found that the score doesn't have the big loft and then a ton of catch out of the wing. If you're sending big airs, having something that's going to have a lot of catch in the wing is going to help with those softer landings. I did find that with this wing, I was going fast and I was launching high, but my landings were a little more aggressive. Really where I felt the score took its lead is in the waves and wave riding. This could be applied to downwinding. As soon as I depower the wing, it would just sit there and hang out dead flat with me. And that was a really nice thing to have. When I'm moving the wing around and I'm riding the wave, it was really easy to control it with one hand. I didn't feel like I was fighting the wing or that it was trying to flip over on me. I had control to where I could steer the wing in my backhand and just kind of bring it along with me. And even when I turned downwind and started chasing the wing, and that wing's wanting to drift down and get a little unstable and heavy, I didn't find that with the score, and that was really cool. It gave me a lot of confidence riding waves that I can do whatever I want. I'm not restricted by the wing. I'm not dealing with it. It's just kind of hanging out, waiting for me. And then when I'm ready for power, I just power it up, sheet in, and we're off. So really overall, I'm stoked on this latest generation of wings. I think it's really cool to see the direction that the sport's gone, kind of as the sport has developed and fleshed out, to see a lot of these designs leveraging new materials and just trying to improve on what we have. It's nice to see. There's kind of an inherent point of stagnation where you start using the same materials, the same designs, and kiteboarding has kind of hit this, where we're not seeing a lot of these massive design steps that we did in the early days. You know, if you think in the mid 2000s, we were going from 2-line kites to 4-line kites to the SLEs and bow kites, and there was this massive design progression, and then it kind of started to slow down, and you start getting smaller tweaks where it's minor profile changes, some different materials here and there. There wasn't this dramatic design iteration happening. And winging has kind of started to hit the same thing, where right out the gate, we were seeing these massive design improvements where these wings were just moving generations. It seemed like every couple months. Now we're starting to see that slow down a little bit. From the wings that I've rode, you know, I'm finding there's less dramatic changes iteration to iteration, and it's kind of more small finesse tweaks here and there. So it's cool to see this latest generation of wings still continuing to move the bar. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff on the way. So as far as the Ensis score, you know, I think it's a great option for riders who want a free ride or all-around wing. If you're a wave rider, this is going to tick a lot of boxes, but I think this wing is going to perform best for wave riders, downwinders, free riders, people that want to cruise. They want to have a really stable wing that's going to have just good performance, and it's going to kind of do a little bit of everything. Hopefully you like this video. Be sure to comment and subscribe. Aloha.